Good afternoon, Deputies and Senators. Thanks for the opportunity to address you today. My name is Niall Gibbons. I'm the Chief Executive of Tourism Ireland. As members will know, Tourism Ireland is the organisation responsible for marketing the island of Ireland overseas. It was established as one of 6 areas of cooperation under the Good Friday Agreement. Before I talk to you about the devastating impact of COVID-19 on the tourism sector, I'd like to give you some context about overseas tourism prior to the spread of COVID. Overseas tourism has recorded 9 consecutive years of record growth, and in 2019 we welcomed almost 11.3 million visitors who spent €5.9 billion across the whole island, north, south, east and west. With our unique all-island remit, we've seen a renaissance in overseas tourism to Northern Ireland over the same period, with 2.2 million overseas visitors last year, generating almost £600 million in revenue for the economy there. In a normal year, we would deliver world-class marketing programmes in over 21 markets around the globe with an audience reach of about 600 million. Our extensive and targeted programme of activity includes advertising, social media and digital marketing, overseas publicity, as well as cooperative promotions with air and sea carriers and other travel partners. Since March, because of the restrictions on international travel, unfortunately most of our paid-for promotional activity has been cancelled or postponed. However, the Tourism Ireland teams around the globe have been engaged in an extensive programme of activity through 2020 to keep the island of Ireland front of mind with prospective future holidaymakers until such time as they can visit again. We've been running an online campaign using the hashtag Fill Your Heart with Ireland, and because people aren't travelling this year, the aim of the initiative is to bring the best of Ireland to their screens. It's about the sharing of inspirational content that speaks to the world at this difficult time and connects people with the island of Ireland. This campaign has achieved excellent engagement with our fans and followers in social media. It's delivered almost 300 million impressions on our Facebook channels with 30 million views and 5.7 million engagements. There's been 170,000 engagements on Twitter, as well as 5.6 million engagements and 5.5 million likes on our Instagram channels. A key element of Tourism Ireland's promotional activity is to showcase Ireland's unique culture and artistic experience around the world. Examples of this from our Fill Your Heart with Ireland campaign have included our collaboration with Philip King and his Other Voices Courage series, as well as our work with Hot Press magazine on highlighting a musical celebration of Van Morrison's 75th birthday, Ray Vaughan Van Morrison. During 2020, Tourism Ireland has been carrying out an extensive programme of COVID-19 research in our major markets. The research has supplied learning into developing consumer behaviour and attitudes that these are fundamentally shaping our activity programme. Tourism Ireland has been represented on the Tourism Recovery Task Forces in Ireland and Northern Ireland, as well as on the Aviation Recovery Task Force here in Ireland. Recommendations from the task forces will be an integral part to our restart activity. Looking to the future, well, this has been a catastrophic year for tourism, but I do believe that tourism can and will recover from the pandemic. Recent news about vaccine programmes is positive and gives us hope. In our research, Ireland has consistently been shown as one of the destinations that holidaymakers will be most comfortable visiting, even while social distancing measures are in place. We have a 3-phase plan to restart, rebuild and ultimately redesign demand. Our success in supporting the recovery of overseas tourism and driving business development is dependent on many factors. However, there are 3 key areas of action. Consumer motivation, to help us identify when consumers will be ready to consider holidaying again and in which markets offers the best term or prospects. Our research shows that summer 21 is the most commonly seen as the next holiday window. Younger holidaymakers, as well as those who have visited before or have family and friends here, are most comfortable about travelling to Ireland, and closer to home markets are likely to present best short-term prospects. However, it's fair to say that consumer sentiment has deteriorated in our more recent surveys. In terms of access, the airline industry has been hit particularly hard by this crisis, and Ireland has now found itself in a competitive situation for air routes with no guarantees about which routes will return. Support will be required to build demand and increase the viability of new and existing routes. On industry and trade, the overseas travel trade have been long loyal supporters of Ireland. However, we're now facing higher levels of competition than ever before from destinations across the world. The excellent relationships that Tourism Ireland enjoys with the overseas travel trade are vital to our long-term success. We will need to invest to create the demand which will support the product on the ground. While remaining flexible and adapting to conditions, we've developed a clear work plan, and that will include the launch of a significant kickstart campaign as soon as the time is right, the development of a new consumer campaign to address evolving consumer motivations, with stage 1 of the new campaign ready for our kickstart activity, and extensive social media and publicity activity as appropriate to keep the island of Ireland in the minds of prospective visitors. A significant redesign of our international website, Ireland.com, and our digital marketing capability has been underway throughout 2020. The new site is currently going live with weekly market releases happening since the end of November. These will conclude in the middle of this month. Our new Ireland.com will be fundamental to our proposed Kickstart success. The pace of recovery is unknown. However, based on the best information to hand, Tourism Ireland currently predicts that the recovery could take in excess of 5 years. In order to improve on this position, an effective, sustained and large-scale marketing approach will be required. This should begin as soon as the health situation allows. As international travel begins to restart, it's clear that keeping Ireland front and centre in consumers' minds will be critical. Every destination across the globe has experienced the impact of COVID and will be seeking their share of recovery, and this increases the competition in the marketplace. When the time is right, Tourism Ireland needs to punch through the noise and create an immediate desire to visit, and to achieve this, a significant marketing investment will be required to enable large-scale, reframed consumer communications in markets with the greatest opportunity. Tourism Ireland is committed to working with our colleagues here in Fáilte Ireland, Tourism Northern Ireland, the tourism industry and all stakeholders to support the recovery. We have a shared ambition for a sustainable recovery. Once this crisis is past and open again to overseas visitors, we in Tourism Ireland will be ready to play our part in delivering that sustainable recovery for the long-term future of our industry. And speaking of sustainability, I was delighted that the Lonely Planet recently named the Burren Eco-Tourism Network a Best Community Tourism Project in its Best in Travel list for 2021, placing it in the top 30 in the globe. I'm also in regular contact with my counterparts in our other Ireland agencies, including Enterprise Ireland, the IDA, Bord Bia and Invest Northern Ireland, as well as the Department of Foreign Affairs, to see how we can promote the island of Ireland overseas with the Team Ireland approach in 2021 and beyond. Thank you very much for hearing today. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.